welcome everybody to the Open Door podcast. I sincerely apologize for the wait, and I know that there have been quite a few people who have been eagerly anticipating this next episode. It had been delayed for good reason. It was ready to go once, and then it was reworked, and then I was told to wait to record it, told to wait to put it out by the one who gave me the idea in the first place, which is the Lord. So I, like I said, have had a different episode ready to go for you guys and ready to talk about and record and put out. However, after finishing that episode, getting the cameras ready, getting all of my slides together, and just raring to go with my message and what I thought was placed on my heart by God to give you all. And he said, no, wait, I got something better. And I'm like, okay, I want to get this episode out right now, though there are people waiting. And he's like, no, don't put it out. And then I was like, well, I'll go out to the park then and I'll record a video and let people know that the third episode is on the way. And I went out to the park. I started walking and started trying to record, and I looked at what was going on and I couldn't get the words right, and it was just a mess, a hot mess. And God was like, I told you, wait, do not put anything out. And so therefore there was a bit of a hiatus, but it was never that I left you all, never that I abandoned the mission. It was more so that I was being obedient in what I needed to, because what I want to talk about today is really, really important. And the reason that I was convicted to wait was because the episode that I had prepared for you guys wasn't the episode that you all needed to hear. So I did as I was told by my father, right? So what we were going to talk about, and what we're still going to talk about, is breaking. Why it feels like we need to break in order to change. And I thought I knew what breaking was because I had been through it, right? I had gotten to a point where I was like, God, I need you. God, I got nothing left. Please bless me. You know what I mean? And I went through that scenario. I went through that phase and realized that, I broke and I found Jesus, and I thought that was going to be it, right? Got to the point where it's like, man, I've reached the end of my rope, and I don't know what else to do. So I'm calling on you, Jesus, to help me out, to make things better for me. And I found Jesus, and I thought everything would change from there, right? Here was what I was going through before I encountered Christ. I was just searching everywhere for meaning, searching everywhere for validity or validation, I should say. Trying to build my own life with my own hands, and every single thing that I thought made me who I was just really, really fragile. Everything came with a caveat. Everything could be taken away in an instant. I was fighting for certain things in my life that I shouldn't have had to fight for. Um, Fatherhood being one of them. You'd think that'd be inherent, that you create a child and you are in that child's life. And there's been some difficulties with that. Um, Still going through some difficulties with that. I won't go into specifics, but there's challenges, right? Um, I'm in a spot where I had no community before Christ. I had a few people that I would be able to rely on, count on, and talk to and hang out with, and then slowly but surely, either they all moved away or I had to move away from them based on my circumstance, and I just really had no place. I really had no fulfillment. I really had no identity. I didn't know who I was. Everything, like literally everything that I thought made me somebody to someone was something that just hung in the balance. It wasn't like anything secure. My job wasn't secure. Um, Relationships, didn't really have any. Friendships, they were all long distance eventually. Um, I was just running out of strength to keep fighting and to keep pushing and to keep going on my own. Like I would never quit. But man, did I want it to be easier, right? I didn't want it to be hard. I didn't want to have to struggle to get to the next day, or feel like I had to struggle to get to the next day. Um, and I went through all of that. I encountered Christ, and I started to believe that things were going to change for the better. You know, you reach your breaking point, you ask God to come into your life, he comes into your life, and then that's it. Everything else is peachy keen, right? Boy, oh boy, was I wrong. Um, Following Jesus absolutely changed everything in my life. It absolutely made me a better person. It made me see other people in a different light. It made me have compassion for other people, but the breaking did not stop. It was a very unexpected, unexpected. Why can't I talk? Unexpected surprise, right? Now I'll get into this a little bit later, but the breaking that I am referring to is not the same kind of breaking that is like painful. The breaking that I am referring to can be seen in different ways, right? So when I say my breaking continued, this is the reason why I had gotten the message to not put out the episode that I had. It was like essentially going to be, like I said, you break down, you realize that you need God, and God comes into your life, and then you live a godly life after that, a Christ-like life after that. You walk as much like Jesus as you possibly can, and that's the end of story, right? Everything would be better from then on. But what I didn't realize when everything started to change for me, and when things started to look better for me, I had some more things happen. Like I know I've mentioned that I had been laid off from my job due to circumstances outside of my control. Work-life balance just was not something that we could figure out mutually, right? And I ended up having to go to court for family court So those of you who have been through it or can surmise what I mean by that, then that's what I mean by that. There's just sometimes things don't work out the way that you plan for them to work out, and then there is some animosity and some turmoil and some conflict that you have to work through, and sometimes you have to work through that conflict in a legal from a legal standpoint. So that's what that is. So not only did I feel like initially I had already gotten to the point where I was like, God, I don't have the capacity left to do anything on my own. I realize that I need you now. And I thought that was it. Like, God is going to come in and save me, save the day, rescue me. And that wasn't how things went. Like, things got harder, so to speak. Like, there was just more life that happened after I got baptized, after I had, started this process with, trying a clothing brand and trying, this podcast and, all the things, and just stepping outside of my comfort zone to share my testimony and to get the testimony of others and, empower people to encounter Christ in that way. My circumstances started to warrant the feeling of being at a crossroads, right? It's like, yes, I encountered Christ. Yes, I accepted Christ. And yes, I got to a point where I know the answer is God. And then all of the life that you could think of started to happen. Not a woe is me kind of thing or type of thing. And I'm not trying to do that in this sense, but, my health is a concern, right? I have Crohn's disease, and I was diagnosed in 2017. And with the combination of job loss and not knowing how I'm going to provide for my child, and then you throw on top of that the exorbitant, or however you say the word, costs of the legal stuff on top of the loss of income. Now you've got a stressful situation that then impacts my health. So all of this stuff is happening all at the same time. And then I am also struggling with the fact and the prospect that I may not ever be in a relationship ever again, because I don't know. I at the time I didn't know what dating at my age would look like, because I wanted to date to marry, and in a marriage I wanted to have more children. And for those of you who don't know, I am 40 years old, right? And so I am reaching the point myself where I'm like, do I want to have more kids? Because I'm at an age where, like, my next kid is barely going to be an adult and I'll be 60. You know what I'm saying? So that was a concern of mine. And then there's also the risk of pregnancy for older women that I was concerned about as well. And just kind of encountering situations where a child was just not possible if we were to enter into a marriage. We'd have to find alternative means, and that means at-risk pregnancies, that means adoption, that means a lot of different things, expensive processes to birth a child, you know what I'm saying? And so I had to reevaluate all of those things and what that meant to me going forward in a dating relationship. And honestly, I started to think maybe it's not for me. And I started closing that door. And all of those things were happening all at the same time. But then there's also just like these great things happening simultaneously. It's just blowing my mind. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I was just going through it. All of these emotions all at one time. It's like, I have all of this chaos, and then God is keeping me at the same time. And it's like, how is it possible that I can have so many things that are going wrong, so to speak, and then have the peace that God has got me at the same time? And I can't explain why I feel so kept and so secure and so safe. I don't know. But at that point, when I was going through all of that, I realized that I never really knew what breaking actually is. And so God put episode 3 on hold for a little while until today. What I came to realize is that there are 2 types of breaking, right? There's the first type of breaking that I described, where you are just broken down to your bare minimum. You have nothing and you're desperate for something, for anything to change, right? I'm begging God to help me, to help change me, to help change my circumstances, to come into my life and do something for me that I am not able to do on my own. I don't have any more strength left, right? God, I need you. That is the first type of breaking, where you come to that realization and you surrender everything to the Lord, and you just hope and pray that he hears your cries and that he answers you, right? The second kind of breaking, which is the type of breaking that I've just experienced, is the type of breaking where you are so overwhelmed and so in awe of the things that God can do. He starts to show you, and you don't deserve it. You don't do anything to earn it. You can't. By the way, you can't do anything to earn it. You can't do anything to deserve it, but God does it anyway. We are not worthy of the things that God can do for us, but oh my gosh, how does he love us? You know what I'm saying? It's crazy how many people are on this earth, and yet and still you call out to him, he hears you, and he starts to do a work in your life. Now, I'm not saying that I'm not saying that God is a genie. I'm not saying that prayer is like rubbing a magic lamp and you get what you want. I'm not saying that prayer is a coin that you put into a coin machine and you get a toy out, and whether it's what you want or not, you still get a fun toy. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is that seeking God in the way that I started to seek God changed my heart posture. It made me see things differently, even if my circumstances did not change. It made me see things differently. It gave me a different kind of heart, and that breaking just makes you want to just thank God, makes you want to be so grateful, makes you just want to show your gratitude. at every possible moment that you possibly can. I'll go through of the some of the circumstances that just convinced me that God is in my life a little later on here, but the to recap and to just sum it up, the second kind of breaking is one that is just mind blowing. Like, you can't describe it, you can't explain it, you don't understand why things are happening the way that they are. You aren't necessarily getting the things that you want, but you still thank God for what's happening. And like, that may not make sense to you as you hear it, but if you live it, if you experience it, and I pray that each and every one of you listening to my voice and listening to what I'm saying, I pray that you get to experience this, because it is the most amazing feeling I've ever felt in my life. Not because of anything that has come of it. It's just because everything that has happened has made me further and more strongly believe that God is with me, and that God has me, and that I can trust in the Lord that he will provide and supply my every need. And I don't have to question it. You know what I mean? But yeah, let's get into some of what changed for me. Like I said, my circumstances did not change. I still got Crohn's disease. I still am dealing with the family court situation, right? I still am seeking employment, right? I have prospects. I am applying. I am doing the things that I need to do in order to make sure that I have some way some avenue to fix that situation, to resolve the lack of employment right now, right? So I am not getting paid from any of this that I'm putting out on the internet, but the plan is to have that be the case one day, because this is what I want to do full time, because I believe that this is my assignment, and I will continue to do this and get better and better at it each episode, and there will be more and more that comes from it. I have so many ideas and so many things that I want to do, and these are not ideas that come from me, because I've said it in previous episodes, but I'll say it again. I am an introvert, and I am a reserved person, and I don't necessarily enjoy talking to people, but the mission that God put on my heart and put in me to start working on and to start doing things with, I have no choice but to obey that. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm here in front of you. That's why I started my clothing brand and am working on that. This is a prototype, by the way. So those things are in the works, and there's more in the works that I want to put out there. I'm not going to say all of my ideas, because this is not the space or the place for that at this time. But yeah, back on track. My circumstances did not change. You know, there's still some chaos and stuff going on, right? However, my peace has increased. I have been more trusting in God than I have been in the past. I realize that I cannot, and I don't have to, and I cannot do the things that I feel like I'm called to do on my own strength. Trust replaced my striving for survival. Yes, I need to do things. I need to take action to resolve issues. I can't be inactive and expect God to throw things into my lap. That's not how the Lord works. Faith without works is dead. You got it. So I have to do something, but I trust in the Lord that he will provide and supply my every need, right? God's presence in my life has become so obvious. It's not even funny, y'all. Like, if I could tell you all in great detail the way that the Lord has shown up in my life, like, you wouldn't believe me. But I know what I've lived through, and I would encourage you all in the comments, if you've had an encounter, supernatural, or just happenstance where you know that God was speaking to you through someone else, or something just otherworldly that you can't explain, but you know it was God, has happened to you, then feel free to put that in the comments. I would love to hear those stories. But yeah, like I said, God has been showing me he's been here, and that he is going to provide for me, and he is going to take care of me, and he is the shield around me. He is protecting me and my family, right? Few little stories here, but and this may sound silly, but he's shown up in really big ways, and he's shown up in really small ways as well. But the one thing that is in common is that he has shown up, right? So I've gotten phone calls where I'm like, I did not ask or pray for the blessing that that phone call, gave me, but that phone call saved a lot saved me from a lot of things going wrong, going bad. You know what I'm saying? That was a really big, out of the blue, unexpected, thank you, Jesus, phone call. This is one of the ways, right? Here's another little silly one, but I fervently believe that this was God showing up for me. I needed to wash my clothes, and sometimes my neighbors have their laundry in the washer or dryer or whatever. So I need to go get quarters, so I have to go to the bank, ask for quarters, and come back and start washing. And I just did not feel like doing that, and so I didn't feel like checking. I didn't feel like going to the bank. I didn't feel like doing any of that stuff. And so it's like, well, I'll just drive to the laundromat. That way I don't have to, put all these different loads into the laundry machine downstairs. I can just go to the laundromat and I can do it all in one fell swoop, and we'll be done with it. Right. So I get to the laundromat with my clothes, and I'm ready to reload my laundry card. And lo and behold, the digital or the card readers for the laundry recharge were out of order. So it was cash only, and I didn't have any cash on me. So I sat there for a couple minutes dismayed, and it's like frustrated, because again, this was in the period of me being told, hey, you're not ready to put this episode out yet, right? And that means that I was still going through some things. That means that I was still trying to figure some things out, right? And so it's like, great, this is the last thing that I needed. I'm just irritated. I'm frustrated. I am just ready to go sit back in the house and try it again tomorrow, right? And I was about ready to pick my basket up and take it back to my car. And then a woman stopped me, and please forgive me. I have forgotten your name now since then, but I want to say it was Melissa, but I could be wrong. But she looked at me with, getting ready to leave, and she's like, "Hey, is that all you got? That one load right there, is that all you got in your basket?" And I was like, "Yeah, this is all I have." And she's like, "Oh, well, come on." And I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "Come on, I'll pay for your laundry. I'll pay for your washing and your drying. Like, you don't have to worry about it. It's all taken care of." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, well, thank you so much." Small little things, but she did help me take care of my wash and my drying. And I said to her, how can I pay you back? Like, it's only like $6 or something like that, that she spent on me. But $6 was her $6. She didn't have to do that at all. And she didn't know me from a can of paint, right? But she still decided to help me out. And so I'm like, how can I pay you back? And she's like, don't worry about it. God gave it to me. And now this is your blessing. And I, again, shot to the heart. This is God talking through this lady. You know what I mean? God knows my circumstances. And, even though I go and get $20 a quarters out of my bank account, it's not much, but $20 right now, given my circumstances, might as well be $200. You know what I'm saying? May as well be $2,000. You know what I'm saying? Because who knows when my money is going to start to be able to build back up on a recurring basis. Who knows when I'm going to have a job or income or start a business that starts making some money. You know what I'm saying? And so I was very thankful for her. And I just knew that was God working. And so I told her that I would pay it forward for her. And I thanked her for everything that she did that day. And I have yet to be able to do it, but I want to do that in a big way. So I will definitely keep her in mind. And if I got your name wrong, Melissa, if you ever see this, I apologize, but I'm giving you Melissa for now. But if we ever run into each other again, then you can correct me if I got your name wrong. But I appreciate you nonetheless. Like, you've done a great thing, and you don't know how many people will be blessed because you decided to be a blessing to me that day. I promise you that I will pay it forward in your name, in Jesus' name, when I am able to do so, and I will do it in a big way. I promise you that. I also had a conversation that same day. Somebody just randomly walked up to me and talked to me about Jesus. Now, we didn't have the same views as one another, but the fact that the guy saw me and decided to sit down next to me and have a conversation and talk to me about the Lord is just another confirmation to me. And it may not be that way for you, but to me, it's another confirmation that's like God is right there with me. Like, God is by my side, and I can't doubt it anymore. You know what I'm saying? And in other ways, like I was talking about the relationship aspect of things before, right? I had closed the door on that. I didn't think that it was going to happen for me, and I was just resigned to being single for the rest of my life, right? And suddenly, as I'm like closing that door, bolting it, locking it, and nailing it shut, and putting boards up, and putting a wall up, and putting the cement over it and everything, because it's not going to happen. I'm closing that door and I'm putting a wall up so I forget it ever existed. And as I'm doing all of that, And I'm telling God, like, it's over. You know what I'm saying? Um, as I am telling him all of that, he's like, I'm kicking that door in. What are you talking about? Who are you to tell me that it's over, right? Who are you? And I'm like, yes, God. And and he opened that door back up in an unexpected way, and I am in awe of what he's doing in that aspect of my life right now. Um, just amazing, and loving the Lord and letting him lead in that area of my life, right? And then there's just daily reminders of just little things like I'm reading in my Bible, and then um, there's things that I am noticing that can apply to my life and my circumstances in the moment or what have you. And um, God is literally always there. I'm praying more. I'm praying better. Um, you know what I mean? And praying for others and praying over my son. And, I got community now, and, a few different communities. I got a dad's group that I attend. I have a Bible study that I go to. I have, I serve at church, and I'm making really good friends there too. And so, all of those things that I lacked and was trying to forcefully make happen on my own, all I had to do was walk into a church and say yes and amen. And all of these things just started to pour down. You know what I'm saying? And it's not because I said, God give this to me. It's because I came into the environment and I wanted to integrate myself into the environment, and I did that. And as I did those things, all of the positives started to happen. All of the positives started to manifest. It's not just me being in the space and sitting still and saying nothing to anybody. It was me coming into the space and feeling the Holy Spirit in that space and enjoying that, and then starting to become a part of that space and become a part of that church body, right? Um, that things started to change. So God was moving me. God was ordering my steps, but I still had to take the steps. I wasn't just sitting still, and I wasn't just waiting for things to happen, right? There's just big and small reminders all over the place that, Jesus is present, that Jesus is Lord, right? Um, what I'll say when it comes to breaking is maybe we need to shift the definition of breaking, or maybe we need to see it differently, right? Um, are you being broken down, or are you being built up? Because you can think about this as breaking if you think about all of the things that you're losing, or all of the things that are being taken away from what you're what you're um what you're experiencing, or how you're living. God, I don't have anybody. God, I don't have anything. God, I lost my job. God, I lost my identity. God, I lost my faith. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I'm doing. Those types of things. Like, you can think about it as breaking in that sense, or you can look at it as, God, thank you for removing me from this situation and putting me into this new situation, so that I could understand what it is that you are trying to do and what you are trying to move within me, so that I can further your kingdom, right? So that I can give you the glory, um, so that, I don't rely on these things or these titles to give me what you've already ordained in me. My job can't give me the mission and the assignment that you can. Yours is much greater. My job is just a paycheck, right? Your job for me is to give you all the glory, and I can't do that if if I think it comes from my job. I can't do that for the Lord, if I feel like it comes from my partner. I can't do that for the Lord if I think it comes from me being a great parent. I can't do I can't I can't do what God is assigning me to do if I feel like it is coming from me just being a hard worker and being great at what I do, because then it's about me and what I did. You know what I'm saying? And God God doesn't want that. And not to say that he put me in a bad situation or anything, but I think about the Israelites and how often they disobeyed God, and how often they walked away from what God asked them to do, and it just kept happening over and over and over again. And to get them back on the right track and to get them back in the right path, he found somebody that he favored to lead them into battle or whatever it is, and he gave them the land. He was able to provide food for them from the sky where there was none, manna from heaven, you know what I mean? And I thought to myself as I'm reading that, and I'm judging, right? But I'm looking at my own life and I'm seeing myself do the same thing, but I'm looking at them and at the Israelites, and I'm judging, and I'm like, how can they see all of these signs? Like, God as a big cloud pillar that they can literally just follow wherever he goes, right? God, a column of fire, or a burning bush, or the all of the signs and all of the things that God delivered the Israelites from. How could they see all of that happening, right? And then still disobey God after witnessing that. And then here I am doubting God, and not trusting in the Lord, when I see over and over again that he has been blessing me, and I still end up feeling like I have some fear. I still feel like I have some doubt about what's going to happen next. And then I realized that God isn't breaking anything. God is building something, right? God is building our dependence on him. God is building our trust in him. God is building our stewardship with what he entrusts us with, right? God is building compassion for others, right? Like I said, when I came out of the water, when I got baptized, I started seeing other people. I started seeing testimony. I didn't see what I did as doing it for myself. When I came out of the water and I looked around and I saw all of the tears for people that were just watching people declare their love for Jesus and giving their life to Christ that day. God is building someone that he can use. And I'm no longer being broken. I am no longer breaking. I am being built into something. So we have to kind of start to flip the switch, right? You may feel like you're breaking, but sometimes what we call breaking, God is building. God is trying to build something with you. He needs you specifically for a specific task, and whatever it is that is on your heart that is God ordained for you to do. If it brings people to Christ, if it allows them to have an encounter with God, then that is your assignment. This is my assignment, and I don't take it lightly. I am so awestruck that he chose me to do this. I never thought I never thought I would be doing this at all in any capacity. People now, I still don't see myself doing this, but a couple people have asked me if I saw myself being a minister or being a preacher or what have you, and I don't. I don't think that's my calling. I don't think that is my spiritual gifting at all. But this is a ministry of sorts, in and of itself, and I am surprised that I'm doing this. Like, these are not my words, to be honest with you. This is God working through me with the gifts that He's given me, and like I said, maybe God is building something in you. So try to explore that. What is your breaking telling you? Are you really breaking down, or is God building something up in you that you need to answer the call to? Something to think about, right? So this is your invitation. What is your breaking? Which version of breaking are you in? Are you in the first stage where you're asking God to come into your life and you need something to hold on to? Or are you in that second phase of breaking where you're thankful that God is in your life and you're thankful for the things that are starting to move in your life, and it may not be the answers to your prayers, right? But it may be the peace in knowing that God is with you, that God is walking right beside you. Think about what God is teaching you in those moments. When things get hard, when things feel like they're bleak, when things feel like they have no resolution, what is God teaching you through those lessons and through those experiences? Can you trust God before any of your circumstances start to change? My circumstances are not changing right now, but I feel so different than what I was when I first encountered Christ. When I gave my life to Christ, I was a different kind of dude. I mean, the Rodney back then compared to the Rodney now, whole new being, and I am ever so grateful for it, right? Ask yourself, what is God building in you right now? Let's stop thinking of the breakdown and what's happening in the breaking, and start thinking about what's happening, what's being built. Let's start thinking about what work is being done in you and what work will be done through you as you go through this season in your life, because you're still here. You're here for a reason. And maybe, just maybe, the things that you are going through and the things that you're being pulled out of that you held on so dearly to are things that are distracting you from what God wants you to do. I'm having that conflict right now. I mean, even before I sat down to record this episode, I started to get phone calls, text messages about job opportunities, contract work, things of that nature. Just random text messages. Like, I had been sitting in my house all day today and had got no notifications, but the second I set up my lights, the second I set up my phone as a camera, the second I turned my microphone on, phone call, text message, interruption, distraction, all of that. You know what I mean? And maybe that is something that is being done intentionally by the enemy to distract from what's supposed to be done. I don't know. I can't say for sure, but it's very coincidental that nothing all day, and then when I get ready to do this, everything that I need to take care of, everything that I need to handle, all started happening, all at the same time. I don't think that's a coincidence, but that's just me. Here is, I'm gonna try and wrap this up here, but here's a piece that changed everything, right? I don't know how everything is going to work out. I don't know if this podcast is going to be successful or not. I don't know if my clothing business, my t-shirt printing, I don't know if that's going to take off. I don't know. I don't know if I'll get another job that will allow me to have the flexibility that I need to build the things that I feel like I'm called to. I don't know what's next. I don't know what's going to happen. But what I do know is who I'm walking with. I'm walking with God. And with God by my side, I cannot fail. And I just want to thank you for taking the time out to listen to this podcast. And I especially want to thank you all who have been patiently waiting for this episode to come out. I hope that the wait between this episode and the next episode isn't as long, but who knows? I don't even know what the next topic is going to be, but I appreciate you all for patiently waiting. I appreciate you all for the likes, for the comments. Please share, because it helps out a lot. We need to get this around to the people, and I appreciate you for doing so. Please jump in the comments and share your opinions, share your thoughts. I'm happy to chat with as many of you as I possibly can. Share this with somebody who needs some encouragement. Share this with somebody who you think needs it. Share this with somebody who you think will benefit from hearing this, even if it's just for encouragement. That's what we're here for. I want to build a community where we encourage each other, where not only is this an invitation for an encounter and a walk with Christ, but this is also a place where we can build community based on testimony. I really believe that testimony is going to be the driving force behind the movement that is the Open Door podcast and everything that comes after it. So I appreciate every single one of you all for listening, for watching, for liking, for sharing, for commenting. You all are the best. I appreciate you. And that's going to do it for this episode. No teaser, no hints, no ideas for episode 4, but we are going to definitely dive into some more topics in the next episode, and I look forward to seeing you all at the Open Door podcast. All right, have a good one.